Dan is going to be leading our Sacrament Ordinary today. And Micah, in case you're wondering why we painted your face, it's just because we want to mark that you are heading out on this amazing journey, beginning with kindergarten. So we had to mark you in some way. So that's the paint.
Thank you.
All right. So Andy usually leads this time. Andy's one of the pastors here. But as he put it, he's out in the woods with a bunch of dudes right now. So he asked me to take over. So Micah is actually my nephew here, and Steph is my sister. And that makes Matt my brother-in-law. So this is kind of a special thing. It's a privilege for me to be able to be up here and talk with Micah as he kind of processes this transition, and hopefully give you kind of a better idea of how you can just be aware of what's going on with the Tigert family right now, maybe give you a better idea of how you can support them during this transition. So I have a couple questions I'm going to ask. We're just going to kind of bounce back and forth between who will answer. Maybe Micah will chime in if he wants to. But I want to start with Matt and Steph. So kind of one of the first things that I just want to throw out there is maybe for both of you to respond with one or two things. But what are some of the changes that you faced just as you entered into parenthood, as you first had Micah, your oldest child? And what are some of the changes you anticipate having as he enters into kindergarten?
I think for me, my life changed a lot when I had Micah. I was working, I was teaching high school at the time in an alternative school, so I was doing some teaching, some therapy groups with kids, but kids a lot older, 14 to 18-year-olds. So when I had Micah, my life changed drastically because I stopped working and I stayed home with him. And at the time we lived in Maryland, but I was also anticipating moving out here to go to school, and so Micah was also surprised. So that kind of redirected some of our direction as to when we would move out here and school and all of that. So yeah, so I think just in the initial first year of having him, I just really, I loved being home with him, and yet I felt this need to be outside of myself as well. I spent a lot of days just with him and with friends and at the mall and at coffee shops, and was really, it was a really special year, and I also really anticipated starting school and moving and all of the things that we had kind of planned for the year ahead for us. So, yeah.
I'd say for me, I think the biggest realization that my life is no longer my own, even more so than just getting married, that there was this precious little boy who I had a responsibility for. Not only that, for those of you who know me well, I need a lot of sleep. And so having a child definitely made that to be a bit of a challenge. So that was another realistic, a very practical way too that my life changed. But it's brought on challenges in that sense, these blessings and the amazing gifts that as we to experience Micah for who he is and to experience life with him completely outweigh any lack of sleep or any change like that.
What are one or two changes you anticipate as he heads to school?
Yeah, I think even in the way that we talk with Micah, I see that he can become even more important as he now has a whole new area of his life to process through with so many different kids and his teacher, other teachers. I just see that as being kind of a different way to transition. I mean, so much of right now, life is comfortable in many ways in the sense that we have very these great friends and family that we're very aware of a lot of the dynamics and can process through that much easier. Now we're relying on Micah to feed us, to challenge him, and to be there for him as he faces challenges with school and excitements with school and stuff.
Yeah, I think for me, that's a big part of it. Just the the piece where I've always been so much a part of his daily life and protection and, you know, kind of what Matt said, knowing exactly what's going on at all times. And I think the letting go of that and trusting another community with him is a really, really big change. And trusting his spirit, trusting the person that he is too, and being able to process as a family when there are challenges that come up. So.
Do you have any like fears you'd be willing to share just around entering into a community that you're less, you know, maybe have less control over, how he interacts with that community, or or just any ways that we can support you as you do that?
Yeah, I do. I think just the fear of Micah not being held for who he is, sort of just in the school system. I guess my fear being that he'd be forced into some sort of role or way of being that maybe isn't fully who he is. And so my hope would be that you asked about fear, so I guess coupled with hope too. I hope that he'd be able to really live into who he is while getting a great education too.
Yeah, I think historically transitions have been difficult for us. Just like preschool and kind of the transition out of the home and being gone a lot has been hard for him. So I think my fear is, I think what my hope is that in kindergarten, the emotional tone for learning will really be set, and in a really good way, where he's really cultivated emotionally, and the feel of school becomes something that he really enjoys and is able to carry him through all of school. I mean, this is my first year I've been out of school since I was 5, so you know, it's like such a long process of our lives. So I just hope that learning becomes something that's really a good feeling for him.
Absolutely. I think that you do a great job with helping process his emotions from what I've seen.
Thanks. Too much.
No, I didn't say that. All right. Try to be nice. So I want to kind of shift gears a little bit, but I want to ask you what some of your most memorable moments are as Micah's parents.
For me, one thing that comes to mind is when Micah was probably like 1.5 or 2.5. We went to visit, Matt's cousin was in jail in Maryland, and we went to visit him, and he hadn't met Micah before. And we were kind of in this like, it felt like a cafeteria. I don't know if it was just a meeting place. I don't have a lot of the details clear in my mind, but we were walking through, and there were all these inmates sitting kind of like this at different tables, and just people kind of like sitting there, and just really like hardened looks on a lot of their faces. And I remember walking through, I was holding Micah, and he was like laughing and waving and like blowing kisses to the inmates, and just like every single person as we walked through, like I could see this like softening go through the entire room. In just their whole demeanor. And I remember that moment was so significant for me, because there was something, he was so young, but there was something about it that just felt like this process of regeneration. Like he was offering something to the world that I couldn't in that moment. And then it was not expected. And I think the gift that I have in being able to have this child that offers beauty and joy and just smile and friendliness to this very dark place was really, really significant for me, and I think really kind of shaped how I viewed his role in the world, and very separate from me. I mean, in some ways, obviously, it's related to me, but he had this very separate kind of experience and function in what he was able to bring. So
one of the first moments I think comes to mind is the moment that Micah got to meet Caleb. Caleb was born at home, and Micah was asleep when Caleb was born. And the morning when Micah woke up, he had kind of a grand introduction of his new little brother that was in the world. And Steph's dad captured the moment on Micah's face. He was so precious. He was so excited to meet his little brother. And I think that moment stands out both for getting to see Micah's own excitement for this new life, his new little brother, but then also the significance of that moment. Because I hope and I see them at the way they interact and their special bond that the two of them have with each other. That moment stands out for sure. As I was also processing through this, another moment, and Micah actually really wants me to say this, this is something I was going to say, but with Steph being in school, when we moved out here, Micah and I got a lot of special one-on-one time in the evenings when I got home from work. And Steph had always seemed to have a class either on like Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday night. And when Steph would go to class, one of those nights, Micah and I, he was one at the time, or a little bit more than that, we'd go get sushi on those nights. And so he grew up having sushi probably about once a week, where it was a special date for he and I. And we've also had times where Steph has gone away for a trip on the weekend. The first one that I remember, the first one when Steph took Caleb away as well, was back in 2009. Mike and I had Micah Daddy's special weekend. And we had a lot of great times that weekend. And Micah was just full of life. And I remember going to an arcade with him and doing putt-putt golfing. He just loved it. He wanted to smack the ball as hard as he could. But sushi is something that will always be memorable for me with Micah, but also for Micah just kind of growing up and those special dates.
You do like sushi, don't you, bud? What's your favorite kind of sushi?
Shrimp.
Shrimp sushi. Yeah, that's good. So what I'd like to do as kind of the last question for Matt and Steph is ask them what their first day of school was like, and then talk with Micah a little bit about what he anticipates school being like. But then Micah asked that we open it up and make it just kind of open the floor for anybody to share their experiences on their first day of school. He really likes stories, really likes to hear people's stories. So if you feel comfortable sharing your experience, either first day of school or a memorable experience from school, we'll invite that. So I'll ask you guys first. What was you remember your first days of school?
I don't. Yeah. Share your memory.
I remember my orientation, but what I remember from the first day of school was that our homework, Micah, was that we had to learn to tie our shoes. On the very first day of kindergarten, the teacher said, you can't come back to kindergarten unless you know how to tie your shoes. Because it was too much for her to try to tie 12 kids' shoes at one time. So
They didn't have Crocs though.
they didn't have Crocs. Yeah, I was thinking shoes have changed a lot. I think they were all laces at that point. So anyway, that's something we're going to have to work on the next couple weeks. But some of the kids did not come back to school the second day. They did not know how to tie their shoes. And so I remember getting under the tables and tying all the kids' shoes so they wouldn't get in trouble. And then I ended up getting in trouble because I was enabling them.
Cheat off your homework.
Exactly. And that was probably one of the only times I got in trouble because I was pretty perfect at that point. But yes, I do remember getting in trouble because I was doing it for all the kids and they hadn't actually completed their assignment. So we'll learn how to tie your shoes pretty soon. Okay?
I have a lot of strap shoes and a lot of
That's true. You don't even have your own shoe.
Well, Mike, a couple things I remember from kindergarten is, one, we had to take a nap every day, and the nap was for about 45 minutes long. And in the whole year of kindergarten, during the nap time, I fell asleep once. I hated nap. Another thing I remember is learning how to write and learning how to read. I remember the teacher used to write something on the chalkboard, and then we would have to copy it down onto our pieces of paper, so we learned how to write. I remember trying to finish first. And I also remember recess. I remember having a lot of fun at recess. So, where are you going to school, bud? Olympic View. And where is that? Do you know? There? Over there. It's in Maple Leaf, right?
Yeah.
Maple Leaf. So that's like right up the street here, Maple Leaf. And what are you excited about in school? As you think about going to school?
3 recesses.
3 recesses. Yes.
Lunchtime.
Lunchtime. Yeah. What do people do at school besides recess and lunch?
Write and learn and read.
Yeah. Do you think that stuff's important? He said write, learn, and read, and he does think that those things are important. So, is there anything that you're kind of nervous about with going to school? No, it's just going to be a piece of cake? All right. I bet it will be. You're a smart guy, but. All right, so if anybody wants to share any of their memories of school, Micah, as we said, Micah off, we invite you to kind of open up the floor right now. Karen.
Well, I have a question. Are you going to be taking the bus, Micah?
Not the first day.
Not the first day. But usually will you get on a bus?
Probably walk.
You get to walk? Oh, cool. Well, I remember my my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Meyer, she was awesome. And I remember she told us the very first day of school that there was a secret button on the water fountain that could make it into whatever drink you wanted. And all year long, I would look for that secret button so I could have a milkshake. But I never did find it. So maybe at your school, you would be able to find the secret button on your water fountain that can turn it into a milkshake. And can you tell me when you find that button? The other thing I remember is I still have friends today that I talk to from when I was in kindergarten. So I'm 32. I think 33. Yeah, it's very smart in kindergarten. But I still have friends that I talk to today who I went to kindergarten with. So you might have lifelong friends that you get to meet on your first day of kindergarten.
Always, Dan, I never fell asleep during nap time either. And I was just like Micah waiting for recess.
I have a sad first day of school story, but I'm glad you're not riding the bus, because on my first day of kindergarten, the bus got a flat tire. And I went to kindergarten in a different town, so it was quite a long bus ride. It was already traumatic, so I just remember sitting on the bus bawling because I thought I was never, it was that concept of how far away I was, so I thought I was never going home to see my parents ever again. And why had they sent me on this horrible? So I'm glad you're not riding the bus, but on a good note, I made it home fine, and I got to go to school the next day, and it was great. But sometimes buses get flat tires and the world keeps going, right? I can hear it was really fun, but walking is a much better fun.
Well, that's because you get another education on the bus.
Not always the best.
Probably some truth to that.
I remember having Charlotte's Web read to me when I was in kindergarten by my mother. Have you read Charlotte's Web or seen it? I remember just crying at the end of Charlotte's Web. Sorry, it's that story.
I just recently became Facebook friends with my kindergarten teacher, Micah. So like Karen said, it's fun because now that I'm 32, I still keep in touch with some of the people I met in kindergarten. But I wrote my kindergarten teacher a couple months ago to ask if she remembered at all what I was like in kindergarten. And she said that if I would not stop asking the questions. I would ask a lot of questions. And then she would have to come around and ask me maybe to like put my hand down and ask questions later. But what she said that she appreciated my curiosity. And so I think it's really cool because you're going to get to ask a questions. So ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Karen?
Yeah.
I guess I made a present for my teacher for kindergarten, and I took a napkin and I taped a toilet roll on it. That was my present.
I didn't bring a story, but I have a gift for you. So one of the things that I like about you so much is how excited you get over everything in life, like golf and baseball and communion bread. And so whenever you come over to my house, you always ask me from the time that you were 2 to see something at my house. Do you remember what it was?
Oh, wow.
So when you go off to kindergarten, I hope you keep enjoying everything, because there's going to be so many good books and friends and people there, so just keep that up, okay?
That'll also help keep your parents in line.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you guys for sharing. So now we have something to give Micah.
So Micah, when we look at you, this is an interesting thing that parents feel often. Parents feel like they're sort of eternal in relationship to their children because they see your whole life unfold before their eyes. And as your church, there's been a similar thing. Like we've seen you from a very, very young age, and we've seen you grow to be a 6-year-old who's going to kindergarten. And so we want to send you into kindergarten with an awareness that we want to remind you that you are a child of God. We want to remind you that you are a child of Jesus' church, specifically Awake Church. So we have a gift that this is a very important thing you need on the first day of school. Every kid needs it. I remember mine. I had a Transformers lunchbox. This is the Avengers for Micah. You're going to eat a lot of meals with a lot of different people. You'll all be curious about what kind of lunch boxes people have. There'll always be some kid with a smelly tuna sandwich, but Jesus still loves them, so you should too. And there'll come a day where you're sick of your lunch that you're going to want that tuna sandwich. But anyways, we got you this lunch box, and I want you to open, there's 2 pockets, and I want you to open it and just show everyone what's in there. You'll pull it up. Okay, and what's in the bottom? So you know, Micah, one meal that we've shared together so many times in your life is communion. And communion's always been very special to you. So we got you these things, and you can enjoy them whenever you want on your own. But we want to remind you that every time you eat at school, whether it's a hard day or a good day, we're your brothers and sisters, we're your family, and we love you, and God loves you, and we're there with you in those good times and in those hard times. So God bless you, Micah.